What's up, peep? This your boy Glass to Get With The Sports, place where you get your sports with a little swag. Come to you finally with the first episode of the Mile High Stampede podcast. Yeah. I know it's been a while. I said I was going to do it over the summer. Things been happening, you know what I'm saying? So finally I put it together. Here it is. This first episode is basically an introduction to who I am and why I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. I live in Chicago, and I know you guess how in the hell a Chicago native became a Denver Broncos fan. I'll get into that soon. But first off, I'd like to start this episode with shout-outs. These are the individuals that help me, Glass, of Get With The Sports, and Get With The Sports get to where it is right now. We've been Get With The Sports founded 3 years ago, I believe. And we're here right now with a Facebook page, Twitter, blog page, YouTube channel, all of that. And I'd just like to give shouts out to these individuals that help me help Get With The Sports get to where it is. First off, couldn't do none of this without my partner in crime, Larry Brandon, a.k.a. Brandon. Without him, we wouldn't have the swag and Get With The Sports. Like I said, 3 years ago, I asked him to help jump on this project, and he rolled with me. He ride or die. Right now, we don't have time to do stuff together with our job schedule, but we'll get back soon, and you guys really get to know Brandon like I know Brandon when it comes to sports. But shouts out to my partner in crime there. Next is Dave Rantisi from Wake Up Is Football, a.k.a. the Professor. We call Dave the Professor at Get With The Sports. We basically started at the same time on YouTube. I have to give him credit because with his dedication to the craft of the NFL football as an NFL football analysis, that definitely catapulted him to another level where he's working for SB Nation and started an internship with ESPN Milwaukee. So congrats to him on that venture. And he's definitely a good friend and someone we can rely on to Get With The Sports. So shouts out to Dave Rantisi of Wake Up Is Football. Next up is who I call basically the Joker of sports. That's Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk. He is a true color commentator. He's funny. That's what's needed in sports talk these days. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to sports, and he could debate with the best of them. So that's Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk. Check him out. He got a YouTube channel, Twitter, all that, at Idiot Sports Talk. Next up, last but not least, I basically call them fam. They my second cousins and everything. So I have to give shouts out to the TeamBoydTv crew that consists of Big Q, Vernie B, and JB. Brandon, of course, is my ride or die partner, but I have to say Big Q and the TeamBoydTv crew help Get With Sports to the next level. The work they do over there is top notch, and we are just blessed to have them join them in the ride in the sports talk industry. Speaking of TeamBoydTv, they the one that influenced me to do this podcast, do a podcast. I advise you or want y'all to go check out their podcast on Spreaker. Big Q talks about everything Carolina Panthers. His podcast is the Black and Blue podcast. JB is a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan. Ooh. You want to check out his podcast? It's called Ravens War Machine. Check him out on Spreaker. And they got a nephew, name is Dorian. He's another Carolina Panther fan. Why don't you check out his podcast called the Thunder Black Cat Podcast. So check those podcasts out when you got a chance. Once again, shouts out to those individuals to help Get with sports where it is. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and get to what we want to talk about. This is the Mile High Stampede podcast, and we're going to talk all Denver Broncos. So at the beginning, I told you I live in Chicago, native Chicagoan, and I guess you're wondering how I became a Denver Bronco fan. This goes all the way back to like 82 or something like that. I was in high school. I know I'm showing my age, but it's all good. I was in high school. Name of the high school is Walter Lutheran High School. Shouts out to Walter Lutheran. And their nickname was the Broncos. So I wasn't really into football at that time. You know, I'm a skinny, tall individual, and I was all basketball. But of course, my old man is a diehard Chicago Bears fan, would watch football, and I was trying to figure out, you know, look at a game with him. Then I went on here and did a little research to see if there's what other teams are out there, and I noticed there was the Denver Broncos. And of course, like I said, my high school team name was the Broncos. Went here and followed them. That's when I caught on to John Elway and the Three Amigos, which was Vance Johnson, Mark Jackson, Ricky Nattiel. So I latched on to them real quick, and I got much respect to John Elway because in his career he went to the Super Bowl 5 times, I believe, at that time he was playing, and I have to give him credit for his resilience because he didn't have too much to work with, but he actually got the Denver Broncos there. In 1986, they was 11-5. They lost to the New York Giants in that Super Bowl, 39-20. They went next year once again to the Super Bowl. They was 10-4, but they lost to the Washington team that was 11-4 at the time, 42-10, which was a nice little whooping. Missed a year, then went to the Super Bowl in 1989. They was 11-5 at the time and lost to the 4-2 San Francisco 49ers, 55-10. So actually, with that being said, that little whooping we got last year in the Super Bowl 48, 48-3. I ain't gonna say I was happy about it, but we as Denver Broncos fans, we were used to it. So with that being said, Mike Shanahan and the front office put a nice little team together. 1997, which consists of John Elway, of course, Rod Smith, and that's another thing I used to love about the Denver Broncos. I loved them so much. I used to have Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey as my wide receivers. No matter who else was left on the fantasy football, I had to have at least one or both of them, Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey. Steve Atwater, I remember he used to hit people so hard he used to knock himself out. So I used to, like I said, pick up everything Denver Broncos when it comes to fantasy football. Might not have won too many leagues with that, but it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, 1997, the organization picked up some nice pieces that John Elway needed. Nice running back in Terrell Davis. Like I said, the wide receivers, Ed McCaffrey at Rod Smith. Nice defense. They got Shannon Sharp on the team as the tight end. With that being said, that's when they won their first Super Bowl. We went 12-4 that year. We beat the 13-3 Green Bay Packers, which was led with Brett Favre. We beat them 31-24. Then we went back again the following year, 14-2. Played against the 14-2 Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl in 1998, beat them 34-19. So we went back-to-back with Super Bowls. You couldn't tell me nothing. And we went through a little quagmire. You know, and let's not forget, that's when John Elway retired. So that's how you're supposed to end your career on top, back-to-back Super Bowls. So to me, in my eyes, John Elway, he's I'll give him the top 5 best QBs in the NFL in history. That's just me. Then like I said, we went through a couple of years with, barely missing the playoffs and I don't know if we had losing seasons. All I remember is we ended up with Tim Tebow, and that was like, to me, one of the worst times ever. I know he won a couple of games and he beat Pittsburgh Steelers miraculously beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the playoffs and all that, but I never win. Now, like I said, this might be a biased opinion. Other than Denver Broncos and Chicago Bears in the NFL, my family's from Tennessee, so I used to follow Tennessee Volunteers and SEC, and Tim Tebow was at Florida, and he was considered the best college player ever. And I had certain type of feelings about Tim Tebow. So when Josh McDaniels, the head coach at the time, went on ahead and drafted Tim Tebow, I could have drove up there to Denver and whooped his tail for that. But like I said, it is what it is. We went through that little situation with Tim Tebow. Everybody was hyped on the all he do is win type situation. I just didn't like it. And that's when we went to when Indianapolis Colts went through the situation with Peyton Manning with his neck issues. They didn't know if they wanted to keep him or let him go. Of course, we all know that they let him go. And he was a free agent. I don't know how John Elway did it. Much credit to John Elway in the front office, but he got Peyton Manning to come to the Denver Broncos. I was very elated with that situation. So he came to Denver Broncos. We already had some of the offensive weapons that we needed, with the wide receivers, little run game with no Sean Moreno. But Peyton Manning behind center was a beautiful thing to see last year, and the year before when he first came to the league. His first year in as the Denver Broncos, he led them to the playoffs, where I knew it was going to happen. I didn't want to admit it, but when Ray Lewis decided to come back and play his last year off of injury, when he came off of injury and played his last one of the end of his career off of that year, they had too much momentum going their way. And we ain't going to talk about the debacle where Jacoby Jones caught that catch in the end zone and Raheem Moore. I don't even want to talk about it, but you know what happened with that situation. And Baltimore Ravens ended up beating us and going all the way to win the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. I had to lick my wounds for that. And then come last year when I just automatically thought there was no way beating the Denver Broncos. They had a 13-3 record. Peyton Manning was breaking all kind of records that year. We had the most prolific offense in NFL history in 2013. We scored a record-setting 606 points. I mean, everything was going our way. But then again, Seattle Seahawks was on the NFC doing their thing. So we ended up playing the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And I must say, I did not see this coming. This ass whooping was coming. Let's just break it down. We beat the Chargers in the divisional game, 24-17. We beat the New England Patriots, the team I hate, in the conference championship, 26-16. And I don't know what happened in Super Bowl 48. But it was there were just so many records. Seattle just ran over us and broke all kind of records. Number one, it was the third largest point differential, which was 35 in Super Bowl history. It was the first Super Bowl victory for the Seahawks and the fifth Super Bowl loss for my beloved Broncos. We was favorites to win by 2 points. We was like I said, once again, we was the top offense going against the top defense, and I guess that saying goes that defense win championships, and they basically showed us that. The Seattle Seahawks showed us that. I mean, I watched that game, and the first play of the game was a safety. Seattle D scored on that safety after that. Peyton Manning couldn't catch the ball, the hike from the center. And it was the quickest score in Super Bowl history. The Seattle defense became the first team in the Super Bowl to have a safety and touchdowns off both kickoffs, kickoff returns, and interception return. By halftime, it was 22-0. And then you're going to come back off the half and let Percy Harvin run a kickoff back. That's when I knew it was done. I had hopes until that happened. And all we could do was score 8 points in the Super Bowl. It was embarrassing, but like I said, it took me a couple of days to get over there. I had to lick my wounds and had to deal with it. Like I said, we've got whooped in Super. 48-3 is nothing. 43 days is nothing to sneeze over. But then, like I said, in 1989 we lost 55-10. We lost 42-10 the year before that. So, with that being said, I just think this year is going to be a special year. We did a great job in the off season. I know we lost Eric Decker, but yeah, he went to the Jets, but we replaced him with Emmanuel Sanders, who's just doing the damn thing on the field right now. We lost Champ Bailey. I love me some Champ Bailey. He just retired. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he lost more than a couple of steps the last couple of years with the Denver Broncos. So we had to release him. But then again, like I said, we did a great job in the offseason. We picked up key players that we definitely needed, as in we picked up Takib, can't pronounce his name right. Takib Ali Takib. We picked him up, the cornerback. Picked up DeMarcus Ware from the Dallas Cowboys. He's a nice little book piece to go along with Von Miller on the defense. Picked T.J. Ward from the Cleveland Browns to go with Talib in the backfield. So the discrepancies we had on defense in the Super Bowl, or rather last year, we picked up in both, like I said, DeMarcus Ware, defensive end, and Aqib Talib from the New England Patriots. And with that being said, I noticed, did a little research. We have 8 Bronco players who made the top 100 players of the 2014 list, which is wide receiver Demaryius Thomas, defensive end DeMarcus Ware, Wes Welker, Von Miller, Aqib Talib, T.J. Ward, and Luis Vasquez. So we got stuff to look forward to. Right now we're 6-1, and our only loss was the Seattle Seahawks game in Week 3 at Seattle. We could have won that game, I believe, if we had enough time. We got hurt by that overtime rule, but it is what it is. I really don't care about this. I ain't gonna say I don't care about this season, but after what I've seen the last 2 years, the regular season, I really don't care. I want to see you do damage in the postseason. So I didn't expect to go undefeated. I never expect to go undefeated. Things can happen, but I'm glad that we are in Week 9 and the team is 6-1. So with that being said, we playing the New England Patriots this week. I believe we can beat them. The rest of the season, I could see we might have problems with the New England Patriots. Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City. San Diego Chargers at San Diego. Followed by a game at Cincinnati against the Bengals, who's really on a nice little roll. So there's 4 games left that I could see we might lose. I'll say it in the next couple of podcasts I give you each week now, where I give you analysis of each game that's coming up. So right now we play the New England Patriots. They're on a nice little roll now. They dismantled my hometown Chicago Bears last week, but that might be a hindrance to them if they think they could do the same thing to us now when we go into Gillette Stadium this Sunday. So basically, that's all I got for you this week. Give you a little breakdown of who I am and why I'm a Denver Broncos fan. Been following them for a while. I see good things this year. I believe Peyton Manning got 2 more years left up in him. He's doing a great job. He just broke the most touchdown passes in history. He was at 5'10" at the time. 5'09", 5'10" at that time. I don't know where he's at now. I'm sure he's like at 5'13". I have to check the records, but Peyton Manning is doing his thing. All we got to ask for is the rest of the players around him to do what they're supposed to be doing. So that's all I got for you on this podcast. I'm going to ask Big Q from TeamBoydTv to give me some music to put on here, give me a little commercial to put in between, because I know this is all nothing but my voice talking, and I appreciate you tolerating it for the 30 minutes that you had to tolerate it. But anyway, that's all I got for you. I appreciate you guys listening. Shouts out to everybody for listening to this podcast. And until next week, this is the Mile High Stampede podcast. Denver Bronco love. This your boy Glass to Get With It Sports, place where you get your sports with a little swag. And as always, be good, be safe, get with it. Peace.